My name is John Paulus. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and I currently work at 1000 Degrees Pizzeria in Boulder, Colorado.
This interview is for an exercise in a course I am taking this semester. For the purposes of this exercise, do you consent to being interviewed and recorded?
Yes, I consent. So I spent 2 years at Bojo's Pizzeria in Evergreen, Colorado, and then 2 more years at Lariat Lodge in Evergreen as well. It's a brew pub, and then a year at Courtesy Electric Company doing like our electrical work for like usually big apartment sites in Denver. So at 1000 Degrees, it's our boss calls it fast casual pizza. So what you do is it's like a fully customizable pizza, and we got different sauces, cheeses, meats, veggies, and it's all one flat price for the pizza. And you go down and put whatever you want on top. It's unlimited toppings. Put it in the oven. It only takes 2 minutes to cook. Like we cook the pizza at, it's not actually 1000 degrees. It's like 950 or something. Cooks in 2 minutes. Pull it out. It's ready to go. So very fast, like quick and easy for everybody. Yeah. So like my typical day is I get there like an hour before we open, and I'll go through like our coolers in line and like figure out what we're missing and about to run out of. And then I'll let my boss know, and he'll bring it from our bigger store in Federal. And then usually I'll prep the line, like stock it with, like make sure everything's full. We have backups underneath. So like if we're busy, it's easy switch out. And then I'll stretch pizzas, usually about 30 to 40 of our smaller ones, and then 10 of our bigger ones, so they're ready to go. And then we'll open, like I'll be either making pizzas, stretching more on the oven, on the cash register, doing the dishes, like just always something throughout the day. And then right before I leave, I make sure we're stacked with boxes and make sure the dishes are done, and then I'm on my way home. So the majority of my coworkers are like young males, kind of like me, and like my manager's 32 and the owner's like 50. But I only have one female coworker, so like it's usually just 3 or 4 guys in the kitchen at most times, for me at least, because Alice, the girl, works nights and I open. The only one I would say is the one time I did work with Alice is I did most of the dishes and took the garbage out, so it was like, that would be the only one I've really seen at 1000 Degrees. So when I worked at Lariat, they wouldn't, like, there was one time my boss was like, hey, can someone go check our big industrial smoker outside and check the temperature and bring me 2 of the pork shoulders. And I can't remember her name. She was a prep chef, a prep cook with me. And she's like, oh, I'll do it. I'm not doing anything, while I was cutting something up. And he's like, oh no, like you take over that, John, you go do it. And I feel like that was like him saying like, oh, like it's grill smoking. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that was like a man's job, like John, do it. Yeah, so activities women predominantly do, it's like in the restaurant business at least, they're usually the hosts. There were a lot more like female waitresses. And then bartending was about 50-50, and then when you get into the kitchen, usually it was all men. The one time the gender of my coworker was kind of an issue is she was on the plumbing crew, and one of the pipes burst and it was like dirty water. So they all had to change, and most of the men just like went into the corner, like kind of around the corner to change quick, like kind of like a locker room. But she was like, oh, like I need privacy. So the electricians, us, the plumbers, the framers, the drywallers, everyone had to like leave and let her change. And it took about like 25 minutes out of our day of an apartment complex we were behind on, and like it made it harder for us that day to catch up to work. Like we all had to stay late to finish that day because the inspector was coming the next day and we needed to get it done. So like that, like her, like obviously she didn't do anything, but like what she needed like kind of affected the way our day went. So working in the restaurant industry, I don't think that the restaurant ever compensated unfairly, but it's obviously like a hard business to make money in because a lot of like servers' money comes off tips. And that also affected my paycheck because like we did like tip share where they bring in like a certain amount of each server's tips and like split it up because like we all helped, and it just gives everyone a little extra money. But like it's hard for me to know if that like the women were getting tipped less because I don't see that. I just see the like, oh, like your tip share was $25 this week. But yeah, like I can see like on 2 pay stubs, I'll work like say 19 hours both on each, and I can see like $40 to $50 differences in like my tip share amount, and like that like can be a big effect on like people's paychecks, but I can't tell if that's like discriminatory or not.